Today I'm going to show you something called focus stacking in Photoshop. For the last couple of days I've been to this spot here and trying to capture that yellow tree over there that you can see on the ridge. And the first day I brought my 6-year-old Canon M100 with a kit lens, and the photo you can see here. And the next day, since I liked the photo and the composition so much, I brought my camera that I use for everyday use, my Sony a7 III, and I put on a Tamron 28-75 G2 zoom lens, and the photo became like this. And today I'm going to do focus stacking because I really want to try to get everything sharp. And I attached my prime lens, my portrait prime lens. It's very unusual, I think. It's a 85mm 1.8. Before we start shooting, I want to give you a couple of tips. And number one is to get a tripod so you stabilize your camera. It's very annoying and pretty sad sometimes to get home and see that your footage is totally blurry and out of focus. That is because when you handheld your camera and push that shutter button, it's very easy to get a little nudge, and that's enough to get blurry footage. The next thing I do is to put a timer on my camera, 2 to 5 seconds. So when I push the button, the camera and the tripod has a little while to stabilize itself before the shutter goes off. So that's what you do to optimize the sharpness and avoid blurriness in your footage. The next thing is do the aperture setting, and since we are doing landscape and I want sharpness throughout the picture, not shallow depth of field, I raise my aperture to f11. Between f11 and f16 is a good rule to follow. The ISO, I don't care too much. I try to keep it as low as possible, but I'm not too worried to raise it a little bit because the Sony a7 III is quite good when it comes to raising the sensor without getting noise in the picture. The shutter time I can lower pretty much because it's on a tripod. So I think I'll stay around 1/30th of a second, and the shutter also freezes things. So today we have water, so I'm maybe gonna get that creamy look on the water. It's a little windy today, so I'm not gonna get that reflection of the tree, the yellow tree anyway, so I don't mind lowering the shutter to get that creamy look. But we will see how the conditions change on the way. And now I see that the sun is hitting the yellow tree, so now it's a perfect moment to try to capture some compositions of it. So let's jump in and catch that first photo, and we'll talk about how I focus stack in Photoshop. First thing you have to do is to make sure that you found the composition that you like and that the tripod is stable. Then I start with the foreground. There is a reflection in the water, and I want to capture that as sharp as possible, and then I move my way all the way back to the background, as you can see on the red crosses that I've put up on the screen. Then it's putting up the hand in front of the lens to tell me in Photoshop or Lightroom that the sequence in between the hands is the one that I'm gonna stack together in a focus stack. We're back home and I've uploaded everything to my drive, and now I've been importing everything into the Lightroom, and I've been looking through the footage, and I've decided for, if you see at the bottom right corner here, a series of 6 pictures that I'm gonna stitch together in a focus stack. But before I do that, I want to do the edit on one of the photos and then copy it to all of the others in the focus stack, and then import it into Photoshop and do the main photo stack job. But before that, I want to do edit. I'm going to do a time lapse of that so you don't get bored. But if you're interested in watching a video of me editing a photography or something, just comment below and I'll make that happen in the future. So now a time lapse of the edit before we go into the Photoshop and do the stacking and that stuff. If we look at the bottom right here, again, we can see the 6 photos. What I got to do now is to mark them all, select all 6 photos, then right click, go to edit in, and I want to import into Photoshop as layers. So let's do that, close down this one and wait for Photoshop to do its work. Sometimes it can take a little while. It depends on how many files that you are exporting from Lightroom or a drive into Photoshop. So there is number 1, and if you can see on the right side here, the layers should appear slowly downwards to the bottom right here. So what we got to do now is just wait and let Photoshop do its work. After that, we can do the last 2 steps. So 1 more photo to go. Here, almost done. So there we go. Now all the photos are imported as layers. And what I got to do now is to mark all of them. Go up to edit and go to auto align layers. Push that, and it's important that it says auto here, as you can see. And then we can push OK. And what's happening now is that Photoshop aligns every photo stacked upon each other to make a perfect picture. And since you're on a tripod, and if there's no wind and you're very careful that you don't mess with the tripod and move it, this is not a big job for Photoshop. And as you can see here, there is no white lines around the photo, and that often appears if there has been a lot of movement in the composition. But here it looks pretty good, Okay, we're done with that. Now we aligned all the photos. Now it's time to go back. And now we're gonna stack the focus and go to auto blend layers. Push that, and here it's important again, if you can see on the bottom here, stack images that is marked. So push that and let Photoshop do its work. So what it's doing now is stacking every focus point that I have in the photos together to make a hopefully as good photo as possible. So it's going to be interesting to see how that becomes. Sometimes it can take a while, but here it didn't actually take much time. So there we have a focus stacked picture, and since I am on object here, that's why that happens. But I go up on the left and just take that move tool, and now we have a focus stacked photo. That was it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something about focus stacking. I hope you enjoyed the footage from the other day and also today. I'm quite new to this learning to YouTube concept, so I'm going to be totally honest. I don't feel that I've found my style yet, but I hope this video was a step in the right direction. If you liked the video, enjoyed some of my other videos, please consider to subscribe to the channel. Maybe hit the like on this one. It really helps me and the algorithm. I'm missing out on some watch time, I feel. So if you would hang around and watch some videos, I would really appreciate that. My name is Chris, and I'll see you next time, I hope. Bye-bye.